Welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to do a comparison of the Convoy C8 Plus with the CSLNM1 emitter and the Convoy M21B, which contains the CULPM1 emitter. And I'll go through the differences of both of these emitters and also the flashlights, the beam profiles as well. Hang around to the end. I'll also put up a few beam shots so you can see the difference between both of these lights. So let's go through quickly what's included with both of these. So you get a lanyard. You don't get a clip on the end. This one is from another flashlight, but they both came with a battery. This one came with a 18650 cell battery. This one came with a 21700 cell battery, but you're going to have to select that option to have the battery included if you want them. I think it's worth it because they're only a few dollars to add them on if you don't already have one of those cells. You don't, if you're new to Convoy, you're also going to need to buy yourself a battery charger, an external battery charger, because these do not come with onboard charging. But really that's it. Quite basic sort of things that are included. Even the boxes that they come in are very simplistic. At the end of the day, it's the flashlight itself that's important. So all the fancy packaging in the world isn't going to mask something that doesn't do well. So in terms of the design and build quality, you can see already they do look quite different in terms of the machining, but mainly the finish of the light. This one's using normal hard anodizing, and this one's using micro arc oxidation, which is a new kind of finish that manufacturers have been using on flashlights recently. It has a nice, really chalky sort of feel. I have found though that it's not as durable as I thought it would be. I can see here there's just a few tiny little scratches around the bezel where I've knocked it against other flashlights, just the sharper edges there. But apart from that, it's held up pretty well. I do find at this stage a lot of my normal anodized flashlights just seem to have better chip resistance. But again, it just depends on the manufacturer, and some of them will have thicker layers of anodization as well, which definitely will increase how hardy that light is. Both of them have really nice cutouts here that increase the surface area of the light. Really important, especially for the M21B, because it produces a lot of heat. The C8 Plus, just due to the size of the head and the extra material, it's going to dissipate heat better. So I'm not so worried that these cutouts are, they're not as aggressive as these other ones, and they're not as numerous as well. But for the NM1 emitter that's in there, it's perfect. Machining of the flashlight is perfect. I mean, I find on all Convoy flashlights is just fantastic quality for that price point. And you can see, I can't even find any nicks or any funny imperfections or anything like that on both of these lights. If you're into modifying your flashlights, Convoy is a good brand to stick with because it's very easy to get into those LEDs, take out the drivers. They're actually meant to be disassembled. They're built to be modified, so you can unscrew the head, take out that reflector very easily, pop in a new LED, a new driver if you want to at a future stage. Even the tail caps can be disassembled, and you can install new buttons. Some people install stainless steel buttons, some people install forward and reverse switches on there as well. So it's really up to you, and the sky's the limit with Convoy. They do have separate little accessories and little parts that you can actually order as well if you know what you're doing. I did talk a bit about the batteries as well, and these actually come with the Lito color batteries. Let me just show you what it looks like. This brand here, so 5000 milliamp hour battery. There's a smaller version of this one in the Convoy C8 Plus, the 18650 version anyway. So in terms of overall size, if we look at the length of the flashlight, there's really not too much difference there. This one's about 14 centimeters. This one is about just under 14 centimeters, but the difference lies in the head diameter, and this is going to be important if you're putting it in your pocket. That's about 4.4 centimeters, 44 millimeters, and this one is 34.7 millimeters. I personally don't carry this one around in my pocket. It's just too bulky. This one is probably a better solution, but again, you don't get as much throw due to that head size. Okay, so here's a close-up on both LEDs. You can see the C8 Plus here has the CSLNM1. It's a 1mm by 1mm die surface. It's difficult to get the camera to focus, but the PM1 emitter has a 2mm by 2mm die surface. So the yellow section on the center of the LED is larger, twice as large basically. So with the NM1 emitters, really you're getting maximum throw. So if I just get it to focus, you get maximum throw, but less lumens than the PM1. The footprint is also a little bit different. You can see the white section around the yellowy center part of the LED. It's larger on the PM1, so it's a 40/40 footprint. And the CSLNM1 on the left is a 30/30 footprint. So 3mm squared versus 4mm squared here on the right just means that the LED makes contact, more contact with the board, and there's better heat transfer. And yeah, basically you can drive that LED a little bit harder. So that's something to keep in mind. I don't think it's so much of an issue with the NM1 emitter because it doesn't produce as many lumens. You can drive it at about 5%, 5 amps max, whereas this one you can drive it at 8 amps, which is the version that I got anyway with my Convoy M21B. This is a post that I found on Budget Light forum, and I'll link I'll link this post in the description if you want to have a read up about it. But let me just zoom out a little bit to see. So here, and we can just ignore these ones here, but you can see here the CSLNM1 comes with 2 versions. You got this one, which is the one in my C8 Plus, 30/30 footprint, so 3mm squared in terms of that white section there housing the yellow phosphor in the center. And there's also a high performance version, which is apparently quite rare to find. I've not seen them before on Convoy's website, but the CULNM1. So basically the CUL is referring to the 40/40 footprint. You get a larger surface here that makes contact with the PCB and therefore transfers heat better to the body of the flashlight. So these ones tend to be able to handle more heat and can be driven harder. Okay, and that's the same thing here with the CSL PM1. It's got the 2x2mm surface die area here, produces more light. But yeah, on the CUL PM1 version, which is the one I have, you have a larger surface that it sits on. So that 40/40 footprint will just produce, will allow you to drive that LED a bit harder. This took me a little while to figure out all the different combinations of all these names. It's very confusing when you're first starting out. And not only that, there's a variance of these 4 LEDs as well that come in different colors. I know the NM1.F1 is green, and there's other designations as well for different colors. But I hope that helps you out a little bit in deciding. I've also put the link in the description, like I mentioned. So yeah, have a read up about it. I found this to be pretty helpful though. Yeah, just having a visual representation. Both of these come with an AR, anti-reflective glass lens, so quite standard with a lot of flashlights. Both the bezels have cutouts on them and are unscrewable straight from the top. So I think this version is much better. So I've seen some flashlights that just have a little thin bezel that screw straight onto the glass. I think these are much better to help waterproof the flashlights as well. And again, these reflectors are quite different in terms of size. I mean, this one here is about 3.7 and this one here is about 2.7. So centimeter difference in reflector size, but it makes quite a difference when we're talking about throw, especially when you're combining it with different LEDs, the smaller die surface of the NM1. So I'll talk a bit more about throw distance later. So both of these flashlights come with a 12 mode grouping selection. What that means is that you can access the group selection mode, you switch the flashlight on, and then you tap that button 20 times, and you can enter that selection mode. It just blinks them out. And basically, you can select from having the flashlight be constantly on 100% if you want. You can have the flashlight on the lower modes, so 0.1, 1%, 20%, 35%. You can have it on low, medium, high modes. So I actually have these on that mode. So it's, I think, 1%, 20%, and then 100%. So there's a few different options. You can even select strobe modes that come with some of the groupings as well. I like the option and the simplicity of each of these modes. It takes a little while to get into the UI to sort of select them and figure out how to do it. But once you've done it once, it's very easy. Okay, so if we look at performance and overall output, the C8 Plus here on the left is probably producing around about 1,000 lumens or even less, and that really depends on the bin of the flashlight, but with a 5 amp current, that's what you're going to be expecting. This one here, with the M21B, the PM1 emitter, you're going to get a bit of a boost, and especially because this one's driven at 8 amps, you'll be producing at least 1,500 to 1,700 lumens. The beam profiles of these flashlights are definitely more throwy. So this one here throws for 1,000 meters based on some of the measurements of my Opal Lightmaster Pro. This one I measured at 700 plus meters. So I think that's pretty good considering that the reflector is significantly smaller, especially to the C8 Plus. But again, the reason why this one probably throws further as well is just due to that LED. It's just got a smaller die surface. This one's got double the surface die area, 2 millimeters squared versus 1 millimeter squared, and that large reflector. At the end of the day, all things being equal, if you have a larger reflector, it's just going to throw further. But it comes down to what you're willing to carry around with you. If you want a flashlight that throws further and you don't mind the head of it, then this one's the one to get. But again, it just comes down to what you're looking for. If you want to maximize on throw and you don't mind sacrificing some of the lumens, then you got the C8 Plus, 1,000 meters, 1 kilometer. That's pretty good. If you want a flashlight that produces more lumens but still maintains about 2/3 of the throws, I'd say that's really impressive for a flashlight of this size and the reflector. Then I would go for this one. There's also a 6 amp version of this light as well. I have found that the 8 amp version, which is one I have, gets really hot after a few minutes. And yeah, just because of that extra current draw. So I tend to actually have it on 100% for minute max, and then I'll just ramp it down to one of the lower modes. Normally I'm not using that flashlight on 100% mode for long, but for me, I wanted the 8 amps so I could squeeze out all of the juice from this PM1 emitter. But notably, it's from 6 amps to 8 amps. There's not much of a performance increase, probably only 10% from what I've read on forums and of other users as well. So I hope this comparison will help you out to decide what's best for you, and also give you a little bit of a rundown of the different Osram emitters that are available, the differences between them. So if you found the video helpful, do me a favor and click the like button, share the video around as well if you get around to it. And that just helps my videos get out to more people. And if you want to see some more light reviews, make sure you click the subscribe button.
C8 Plus.
C8 plus. C8 plus. C8 plus. Incredible throw. Absolutely amazing for a little emitter like this. And I accidentally got the reflector dirty while trying to clean the glass, but it still seems to throw quite well. M21B on high. Amazing throw. So the PM1. Hitting those trees out the back quite easily. Difficult to see on camera, but it's illuminating the trees all the way in the background of the darkness there as well. And little tree trunks. M21B. Just a little bit closer here near the water, this pond. Very easily reaching these trees here. About 50 meters max away from me. Moving a bit to the left. I've got someone walking across there, you can see them, and those trees right at the back. You can see just it lining the silhouette of the trees off in the distance. It's amazing how easily this beam just cuts through the foliage. M21B. M21B. M21B.